There is a man!
This is Josh Hokit. Completely ignoring his wacky antics, early in Hokit's career, he has established himself as a dangerous heavyweight prospect. In today's video, we are going to discuss what makes his style effective and attempt to answer the question of, is this the next UFC heavyweight champion? In the UFC's heavyweight division, impressive athletes are rare. Most of the heavyweight division are fighters who could make light heavyweight or even middleweight, but couldn't be bothered. My theory for the lack of genuine heavyweight athletes is this. Any serious athlete above 6'4" and naturally weighing more than 245 pounds is either a professional football player or a professional basketball player. They cannot be blamed for this choice because in fighting, you get CTE and 10K to show and 10K to win. But in the NBA and NFL, you get millions of dollars, no brain damage, and even summers off. However, the UFC's heavyweight division does have a history of failed NFL players turned fighters. The fact that an NFL player can pick up training in their early to mid 20s and make it to the UFC with only a few fights speaks to the division's lack of depth. So when you insert a former NFL fullback who has Division I wrestling experience into a division full of largely blobbed up middleweights, you get Josh Hokit. Hokit, as a senior in high school, was ranked 3rd in the country in wrestling, while also recording 125 tackles as a linebacker and rushing for 820 yards with 8 touchdowns as the team's running back. I don't know much about football, but I do know that this tells me this dude is a serious athlete. In saying that though, after a quite successful college career in both football and wrestling, he went undrafted in the 2020 NFL Draft. After bouncing around the league on practice squads for a few years, Hokit committed fully to his MMA career. Hokit's style is built around one understanding: you will get tired before he does. Although I have never played football, I understand that being part of a football team from the time you are 15, probably even younger, to 26 at the high school, college, and then NFL level as a running back and fullback, that has to put you in amazing shape. The position he played puts him in a different league than past NFL to UFC fighters, who are traditionally defensive and sometimes even offensive linemen. In every single one of Hokit's MMA bouts, he comes out aggressive and wrestle heavy. The standout feature with Hokit is certainly speed. Both his lateral movement and takedown entries showcase the athleticism that made him such a good runner of the football. The opponents he has faced up until this point have all looked many levels slower than him. He uses that speed advantage, paired with his wrestling experience, to easily get his opponents down. So far in Hokit's career, he leans on either a quick and deep double leg, but usually he goes for a head outside single. The head outside single was one of Daniel Cormier's favorites, mentioning that forcing the bigger guys to balance on one leg both wore on their gas tank and also was difficult for them to do, which would lead to successful takedowns. But the head outside single does have some deficiencies in the MMA context, where a double leg or an upper body throw can bring you on top of your opponent when landing on the ground. The head outside single, if done correctly, leaves you standing while your opponent tumbles. The problem with that is if they aren't completely gassed, they have space and time to start to build up to their hands and knees and not give an opportunity for effective top control or ground and pound. But this is where we are introduced to the most important technical ingredient to Hokit's style, and that is riding. When Hokit's opponent does start to build up from the ground by giving up their back, Hokit is extremely skilled at getting to the back body lock and riding his opponent from there. These are where the Khamzat Chimaev comparisons come into play. Although Chimaev has shown much more technical nuance, specifically against the fence with a system of leg pins and also in the submission game, Hokit and Chimaev both possess a tremendous ability to put their opponent's hands on the mat. Better known as a mat return, The idea is that you put your opponent's hands on the mat from the back body lock position, and that's the main way to keep control and force them to work. The most common way to escape the back body lock is through using your own hands to fight your opponent's grip, but you can't do that when you are using your hands to constantly catch yourself from face planting. Hokit has great experience in this position from his wrestling days and has a great natural understanding of how to put his opponent's hands on the mat from every position. In MMA, the cage really assists the takedown defender. You can see here Volkanovski putting the crown of his head against the cage, leaning on it, and freeing up his hands to break the grip. Hokit certainly prefers to wrestle in the middle of the cage, but he showed a very unique answer when his opponent tries to use it. In his Contender Series bout, you can see him using this jumping and kicking off the cage maneuver multiple times to bring the wrestling exchange back to where he holds the biggest advantage, out in the open. The repetition of working hard to get your feet and then immediately being mat returned is among the most tiring cycles you can be put in inside the octagon. Hokit loves to put his opponents in this exhausting cycle, and it works especially well on the current level of heavyweight opponents he has been facing. Where Hokit differs from Chimaev in a positive way is his emphasis on ground and pound. Hokit will let go of the body lock and just kind of hover over top of his opponent, letting punches go with both hands, daring them to get up, and then once they do, locking his hands again and going back to the mat return game. This type of confidence could certainly be linked to the lesser opposition he's been facing. It's also important to highlight how Hokit's general athleticism helps him on the feet. Although his game is wrestling focused, Hokit's got quick, powerful, and quite decent punching technique. Hokit really starts to confidently throw in combination with his hands when his opponent is completely gassed and no threat to him on the feet. Although he has mixed in some body punches, it'd be great to see him put an even further emphasis on it. It would serve his overall game extremely well, and it would speed up how quickly these heavyweights fade in front of him. Sidebar, watch Ajit Kabiel kill heavyweights with body shots. It's a beautiful sight. I feel I have rambled on enough about an unranked heavyweight with only 2 UFC fights, but with that being said, Hokit has serious potential. His fighting style is well put together, and what he does well matches up fantastically against 95% of the heavyweights he will be potentially facing. The heavyweight division is a weird and unpredictable one, with anyone able to get slept at any moment. I could see Hokit, a rather undersized heavyweight at 6'1", 230, getting a big heavyweight who just outmuscles him in the wrestling and tags him with something gigantic. But with his cardio, wrestling background, well put together game, legit athleticism, and a solid team behind him, Josh Hokit will be a serious problem for anyone in the heavyweight division. But heavyweight champion? That depends if Tom Aspinall has to retire.